Hi, welcome back to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Judy Nathans.
And I'm Robert Winters.
Yeah.
And we're still cruising along in the merry, merry month of May.
Oh boy. Yeah, May
Right.
14th. Yeah.
So the last half hour we spoke about some election-related things, new candidates, departing candidates, vice
Well,
mayor
only
Devereux.
one. So
Just
far.
one.
Yeah.
We'll see about that. We don't know yet what's going to happen with the school committee.
Right.
That has its own
I
controversies.
heard they had a very long budget hearing or something, or that I
I
heard
heard
it
there
through.
was some controversy.
I was listening to Sumbul and Alana's podcast.
Yeah, I have
and
not
I guess
checked out the
Monica
video
Bowman,
of that.
because usually you don't challenge budget thing, not challenge or bring up issues, but
Yeah,
somehow something came up.
there's some bad blood going on in the
Yeah.
school committee, and
Yes.
I choose not to follow it, so I only read about these things from afar.
I think a lot of it part of it was the Emily Dexter and that whole thing.
Right, yeah, so they're trying
crazy.
to make controversy and then
Well, it's
pile
all
gasoline
about
on the fires.
equity and hiring and how many, legitimate things, but it's certainly got a flavor that isn't very nice.
I was a city council candidate once upon a time. Don't think I'll do it again.
Yeah, really.
But, it's not totally out of the picture. But the thing is, every once in a while I thought, I know a lot about education. I teach mathematics. Maybe I should run for the school committee,
Oh,
right?
God.
But honestly, I wouldn't last a week before losing my mind
Yeah.
there. I'd be sitting there arguing about what we need to do to improve mathematics instructions and raise standards so that everybody actually has a fighting
Yeah.
chance to make
Yeah.
it ahead,
Yeah.
get ahead in the world.
Yeah.
And they would just be continuing to argue nonsense.
Well, no, I think a lot of math stuff has come up.
Patty Nolan is
yeah.
one of the few people who's
Yeah.
actually brought it up,
Yeah.
and there was some meetings about this some years ago, but I don't know
Yeah.
if they're still doing those ones,
I
but
don't know, they haven't.
yeah, part of it is that the school committees, it's not actually their job to put a heavy hand on the school administration on
No.
curriculum, but they do have a committee on curriculum, I think.
Yeah.
So what they do is they often argue, the sort of social
It's more the
engineering
social.
aspects of things.
They do. Yeah.
But
Equity and
the point
inequality.
I've made and I'll continue to make is that the more they talk about achievement gaps and social equity, whatever, the further the gap widens. So I don't think whatever they think they're doing, they're not doing well. I think maybe if they focused on teaching, they'd probably do better.
You know what? I didn't know that all kids now go into honors classes freshman year. All kids.
Every kid gets a trophy?
No, it's called leveling up, which means that you're all given a chance to do. I don't know.
Every
I don't know how
child
well
should
that
be
works.
given a chance, but the thing is ultimately,
How does
the
it
thing is
pan
you
out?
have to sort of
Yeah.
find what's going to work for them.
Yeah, I don't know what happens to second.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do not know a lot about what's going on in
Yeah,
schools.
but I just think my patience, which is not famously great, would probably be very tested should I ever be on a school committee. I would say, why are we talking BS here? Can we just get into the business of education?
Yeah.
But it amuses them apparently. So I don't know why anybody would want to be on the school committee right now. Honestly, I really don't. I mean, sometimes it's parents because they've had experience as parents and they're concerned about how their child, as well as other like children, should be treated. I imagine, but
Or they've gone through it. I mean, Lawrence Kimbrough.
yeah.
His dad taught. So
Right. But it just seems like its primary purpose these days seems to be to create and maintain and fuel controversy. And I figure, okay, great, but it's not for me. Not my cup of tea.
They
Seriously.
probably don't want you there anyway.
They wouldn't want me there anyway. It's true, right? So I'll just stick to
So
teaching
the budget
mathematics.
hearings are over.
Budget hearings
they
are
have
over.
to be final approval or something.
Yeah, there was
there's some
one.
need-
There was one little controversy. I think we might have mentioned last week
Yeah.
about on the public celebrations budget, which had to
on
do with the Arts
Cambridge
Council.
Multicultural Arts Center, yeah.
So the thing is that they were wanting some information
And exactly
about
how they spend the money. Something about $200,000.
Yeah, and there's a kind of a
city.
subtext in there about some city council are not happy for some decisions. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But
listen to Sumbul and Alana's podcast. They go into it more.
yeah. So I don't know how that'll shake out, and I think I'm just assuming that there will be it'll be pro forma where the information will be provided, and then they'll pass the budget. And maybe one or two counselors will vote no on a particular budget.
That's next week. I think
Yeah,
that was on the calendar.
I think you can't.
You can't do
you
anything
can-
at that point?
What you basically in the committee you vote up or down on individual budgets,
Uh-huh.
but once it goes to the city council, then they can debate it if they want, but
Right.
they never do. But then you either vote up or vote down on the whole budget. In the school committee budget, you either vote the whole thing up or the whole thing down.
Okay.
You can't line item anything out. It's just not the way it works. I mean, you can, but if the entire body agrees to do that.
Okay.
So you can. The city council can remove funding to things, to budgets, right? Which would just lengthen the process and probably have the city manager come in with a supplemental item shortly thereafter. But anyway, so I think the budget adoption formally should take place on May 20th, which is this next
Yeah,
Monday.
I was just trying to look that up.
You know, barring any.
Oh, so does it happen
funny
at the
business.
meeting?
Yeah. The thing is.
Oh, yeah,
what-
budget adoption. So
Yeah.
there might be some public, who knows?
Oh, there'll be public comment, sure.
Yeah, about it, yeah.
There, by tradition, in relatively recent tradition, there are these big capital budget items that are done through bonding.
Uh-huh.
You know, so they're loan authorizations. That since it's all part of the whole picture, even though it's not part of the operating
Right.
budget, they have over the last bunch of years basically been voting those
Yeah,
simultaneous or in the same meeting as the budget adoption. So this coming Monday ideally should just be dominated by that. But the thing is, there's not much to do. All the talk has basically been
Yeah.
done.
yeah.
So they could just, you know, you vote the water fund, you vote the city operating budget, you vote the capital budget, you vote the what is it, whatever it is, school committee budget, yeah, and then it's done, you know, and it's most of the controversy or the difficult decision making when it happened long before the budget hearings even happened. So, and yes, there is some indirect influence of city councilors in shaping those budgets, but it's still the manager's job to put in the budget. So I imagine that not a thing's going to be removed. And if anything, Louis will come in with like a little sweetening of the pot at the very end to, you know, satisfy people's political thirsts, which are unquenchable. And it always involves, give me more money. Give us more money for more stuff.
I'm going to throw this thing out, which is neither here nor there, but you know how we're always saying Somerville does this, we should do that. Berkeley, like, if you look at what they pay their city councilors, it's a lot less.
A lot less, yeah.
'Cause I think I looked up Berkeley last year, and it's a lot less. In Somerville, it's barely anything. That's why.
Well, and they get ample staff. In fact, some staff
Oh,
of
our
Cambridge
city.
City
Oh my
Council happen
God.
to be city councilors in Somerville.
Still, I know.
Yes, yes.
It really just, it's become a fiefdom. But
Yeah,
hey,
oh yeah,
I mean, I'm
definitely.
not saying some people don't really work hard, but it should not be what it is.
Yeah, oh
Who the
yeah,
hell do we think we are?
yeah.
I don't know.
Now, actually, there were a few other items that happened in City Council last night that are maybe worth noting, even if briefly. One was I think we might have mentioned there's a proposal to do the quick build bike infrastructure.
Yes.
Vision Zero, all the buzzwords.
From Sydney, on Mass Ave, from Putnam, where it meets Mass Ave, to Sydney Street.
Right, so there's some proposal, I'm not quite sure what treatment is being proposed along the piece of Mount Auburn Street, coming out of Harvard Square, up to where you hit Putnam.
Yeah.
All right.
That's part of it?
Personally, I would hope they wouldn't separate that out because it's a bus route.
They already have done a lane where you turn right, and then when you go straight, right at that, before that. So I don't know how they could even, it is
it's
all
compromised.
those big buses, those charter
and
buses
there's a
parked
fair
there.
amount of traffic that gets
No,
routed
they
through
park
there.
there.
Well,
They're all the tourists. In
hey,
front, forget
Johnny
it.
on his bike wants to get through. You better get that bus out of my way, right?
Know.
So anyway, there's something is going to happen there. And now, since they did these bus lanes, these dedicated bus lanes from around Sydney Street down to the Memorial Drive by MIT, which is a mixed bag. The bus drivers will tell you this is terrible.
Wait, you're talking about the ones that have the stanchions or the
So they did the separated one with the plastic
from
pipe up.
where to where?
From about Sydney Street down to Memorial Drive.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
And it works sometimes during the day, and other
Yeah.
times of the day it's nightmarish.
Okay.
And
Because
all
you're
the
around
buses,
there a lot. You see
the
it.
buses
Yeah.
are always chronically behind schedule. But as I say, sometimes during the day it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of compromises. So the advocates would like to, from Sydney Street, going all the way through Central Square, past City Hall, all the way up to Putnam Square, which is right where Putnam
So
Avenue meets.
is that what
meets,
she? So it means put in stanchions there, or what?
Well, they say
What's
come
a
up
quick?
with
What
a
does
plan.
quick build mean?
Quick build usually means, I mean,
Quickly, right?
well, I think of it, it's a political act. It basically was popularized when Nadine Mazin was on the city council. It says, let's rush something in through now so that we basically get our beachhead established
Quick
so
build,
that you can't
complete
take it
street.
away from us, right?
Oh.
So that usually involves plastic, PVC pipes bolted to the road. Sometimes it involves moving motor vehicles out from the curb, to
And then
create
where do the
separate
buses
room.
go? That's a major bus.
Well, you push them out into the middle, but what it effectively does is I mean, let me just say that unless you decide, I mean, the real difficulty for a place like Central Square, and Patrick Barrett was quite vocal about this. At the
I was
city
trying to
council
remember
meeting.
what he said last time. That's what it was
Yeah.
about. It was about
Well,
mobility
it's one
stuff,
thing,
right?
if you want to,
Yeah.
if you want to put cyclists like ahead of all other interests and
Can't do
have
it.
that be non-negotiable, that's one thing. But
When
you know,
you have
Central
all these
Square
other
has-
interests.
there are bus stops and
There's
people waiting at the curb,
pedestrians,
getting in and on and off
buses,
buses. You have to have the bus pull up to the curb. You know,
Scooters.
all of these things. There's deliveries.
Deliveries.
I often
Yeah.
have said on the Central Square Advisory Committee and elsewhere, the curb is sort of like a counter. And, you go up to a building, you want to buy something over the counter. It's a point of transaction. Having
like that.
people,
Point of
having
transaction.
motor vehicles, parked vehicles being 10 feet out in the road, while people are waiting on the curb and having to cross through a bike lane on a busy bus stop is
Not
ridiculous.
safe. It's not safe either.
So you would have to
Yeah.
move the bus stop to the curb in those places anyway. But what
Right.
about the rest? Honestly, the only way they would try to do this is essentially to eliminate all parking in all
You'd have to.
all
I
of
mean,
Mass
really.
Ave,
I mean, they'd have to take all parking away and only have bus and bike traffic.
and the occasional
know that.
taxi drop off
Oh,
or
that's
whatever.
true. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that the businesses are going to be particularly thrilled
There
with
isn't
that.
that much parking, but I guess there are meters.
Listen, Councilor
Yeah.
Zondervan at the meeting last night says, well, the future is we're going to have
No cars on-
no
yeah.
cars permitted in Central Square, no cars permitted in Harvard Square. He also went out of the bounds and said no cars permitted in Davis Square
And no plastics at all.
and no plastics
Right,
at all.
right,
So,
okay. I mean, I could live with this little square area not having. I mean, I could sort of see that work in a way.
the thing is
But,
that you
yeah.
still need to put some people with motor vehicles.
You're
so
still
you
going to have to have deliveries.
I mean,
you're still going to have
the only way I think
vehicles with wheels.
if you could
Yeah.
convince the city mothers and fathers to rebuild the Green Street garage to go up and allow more parking and
Well,
not
that'll
jack the
never
prices
fly.
out of sight.
That'll never fly.
Well,
To build more parking? Are you kidding?
and they're taking away one of these days parking in the other side of Central Square because
Right.
eventually there'll be some housing or something will be built in the parking lots facing Bishop Allen Drive.
Oh, all those parking lots that are basically,
Right.
yeah.
And I don't know that we need as much parking as we have. I know that there are times when it's really compromised. It's just an
Yeah.
impossibility.
And where are you going to put the autonomous vehicles when they finish their trip? They're supposed to go out. Remember that
Well, they
meeting we
just
went
keep
to?
cycling
They
around.
go out 15 miles and park in the suburbs? I
Right.
don't think so.
Well,
You know, I
the
don't know.
futurists all think they understand this
I
stuff,
know.
and I think
I
they're
know.
nuts. They don't know this at all. They don't really know what happens. And, and there's still the person, if you want to go to a hardware store, and you are traveling between things, and you just want to drop off to go and pick up something at a hardware store, and then they just had to say, well, there's no way you're going to be able to park within a quarter mile of the hardware store. Then guess what? You're going to Home Depot. You're not going to
Well,
the
but you know
hardware
what?
store.
I think people already.
I mean, foot traffic is one thing.
I think, I don't know how many people park in front of, like, Economy, or it's not even here
Yeah.
anymore, or what's the other one? Pill Hardware. I think it's more
I
a
think
walk
it is.
in.
Oh, I
and-
think it is. But
you
the thing
know,
is, it's not exclusively.
No, but I do think less and less people, I mean, even, if I need something, I'd probably go, well, I use the Target out, I mean, I have a car, so I'll go out. It's only
Right.
2 miles away.
Right.
You know.
But I think that's the concern with some of the business
Well,
owners is that that's what people will do.
You know what a key made? Yeah, you'll go to a local, but I think that's been going on for
Inman Square
years
Harbor.
now.
What a key made Inman Square
Well,
Harbor.
you live near there, and I live near here, or Tags. Tags is in the Porter Square Shopping Center, and that's a great place.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So anyway,
don't
so
know.
that was a bit of a controversy, but
Yeah.
but it wasn't an action item. It was more like, let's refer this to the manager, come up with a plan. Are you
Right.
going to do outreach this time, which
Right.
they didn't do last time?
right, that was brought up
You know,
by
so
yes,
mu-
Denise and Alana.
Multiple
yeah.
counselors. You know, the thing is I think in retrospect,
Yeah.
some people regret some
Yep.
decisions made for both Cambridge Street as
Right.
well as Brattle Street.
Yeah. No, Jan Devereaux was pretty clear on that. That she admitted that it had not been done.
Yeah. So doing it right
Yep.
would be appropriate, you know. But you know, there is definitely the chance this could become yet another inflammatory summer meeting of the Cambridge City Council,
Oh goodness.
where they come back on this thing, and then somebody exercises their charter right, and then everybody goes maniac about it. I hope not. Honestly, I just want good things to happen. You know, the other truth is, and I've been making this point, and a lot of bicycle safety people I know going back 20 years have said this, is that if you really want to have you have to think about a whole system. And Mass Ave, if you just singularly focus on Mass Ave and don't pay any attention to Bishop Allen or Green Street and Franklin as
Yeah.
more quiet bicycle thoroughfares, you really are kind of missing out on some opportunities. You know, the thing is that Mass Ave has to accommodate buses, it has to accommodate
Right.
through traffic. It is one of the few connecting roads to Boston. Sorry, they're not going to be building any new bridges anytime
Yeah.
soon. And you know,
Well, it is wider though than Green Street.
right, but the thing
yeah.
is, I will tell you that back in the 1990s when we had our meetings, we went from, you know, it's funny because Dennis Carlone got this wrong at the meeting last night. He said
Yeah.
they removed a travel lane back
right,
in the
yes.
90s.
Yeah.
We removed two, actually.
Oh.
It used to be 2 parking lanes and 5 lanes of traffic. 3
Where?
going
On Mass Ave?
in Mass Ave. It was 3 lanes
Wow.
one way, 2 lanes other. There were other
Holy
parts where it
moly.
narrowed a bit, but the thing is that it was a lot
Because there were
wider.
no bike lanes.
There were no bike lanes.
And there were no, they made the sidewalks wider and they
And
took
we
it, that's what
pushed
happened.
the sidewalks out. We
Hmm.
added an extra row of trees.
Wow.
We took away travel lines. Travel lanes.
Huh.
We did it all with traffic consultants based on where the choke points were. So
Yeah.
fundamentally, there were places that were always choke points, and we kind of moved them around a little
So
bit,
people
and it
were not on
sort of
bicycles
worked.
back then?
They were, sure
Was
they
this the
were,
90s?
but they weren't so insistent
No.
on having their own separate turf. But
Well, the whole generation wasn't born yet, or they
Right,
were
but there
just
were
getting
bikes,
born.
there were bikes,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
now
I-
you have a lot more young people working
Right.
in high
But
tech.
so the thing is that I would certainly argue that there are a lot of times during the week when in fact traffic is pretty choked on Mass Ave.
Oh,
A lot of times of day and a lot of days of the week,
Mm-hmm.
even on weekends sometimes. So
well now you have
so
what,
if you
one
want
lane? I
to-
just know, oh gosh, look at this guy trying to, oh
We're
my
what-
God, look at this.
as
It's
we
terrible.
speak, we're
As
actually
we speak, we're seeing a guy
people
turn
are
around
actually
in one
acting it out here.
lane.
They're doing U's, banging U's
Because
right
now
in
you
the
have
middle.
just, wait, one lane
a
going
two-lane
up and
road,
one
yeah.
lane going back
Yeah.
now because of the
Right.
the construction here,
The
right?
construction is pretty challenging, but we'll see
Yeah.
what happens when that's all done.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
the thing is that is either you're going to have Mass Ave become a 2-lane road, like a country road with 1 lane going to Boston and 1 lane coming back,
With the horses.
or you're going to remove parking lanes, turning them into bike facilities.
That's what's going to happen, you know.
Well, I think that'll be the push, but then what do you do about the loading? What do you do about?
Well, you have to have
the-
loading zones. I mean, I could live with that. I mean, I really do think I'd rather see businesses get their deliveries and
Right, but those loading zones can't be everywhere.
No.
There are trucks of certain
well,
sizes.
they have
you
to be
can't-
shared then. Shared
Well,
with
they are already
buses
are
aren't there
shared.
all the time.
No, they're
Oh,
not.
you can't.
Well,
you
see,
cannot
if it was
even-
up to me, there's
Yeah, you can't
nothing
deliver it.
wrong with having
Yeah.
a place be a loading zone for part of the day, or occasionally, and
Yeah.
then at other times have it be sort of a bike-only facility.
That's
But
true.
but some of the cyclist advocates they don't want to hear about the possibility
Hmm.
of sharing their space. So, and I think that's not fair. But that's kind of the way the politics is going
Well,
these days. So anyway, one other thing that was a controversy that brought out quite a few people during public
I know,
comment
and you
last
have.
night.
You're talking about the seal,
Yeah, so this is something that was actually.
but
brought
you
up
were
a
only
couple
getting
years
this from
ago.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'm just one.
So how do you know Wikipedia's right?
I don't know that, but I'm just
But
saying.
you said
well,
here's what they say on the subject, and
right.
it seems to me that that needs to be more research because there's certainly a lot of people that did not see
Right.
this.
So, but the way I look at it is that
Yeah.
certain.
Do you have a picture? Let's show the picture.
Yeah, sure. So,
Can we enlarge it at all?
not really. Not
Well, let
really.
me see if I can just zoom
Yeah.
in a little bit.
Actually, that seal might be blow upable. I'm not sure if you click
All right,
on it. I
zoom.
don't remember. But anyway, the seal there for Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's actually gone through quite a few iterations. So if you look, you
So
can
it's hard
find
to
different
hear. Oh.
versions of
Oh,
this.
there it is. Oh, look at that.
Way back
I don't
when.
know what I did, but there it is.
Right. All right. So anyway, I won't go through all the particulars about it.
Okay, so this is an Algonquin Indian right here,
I believe so. Yeah.
holding a what?
Bow.
Okay.
Right.
And what's the white star symbolize?
Beats me. Beats me.
Oh, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think this is an objection up here, right? It looks like there's
Right, but it's a very old symbolism about peace through the sword. Achieving.
I mean,
peace
I
through
think
the
it's
sword.
actually saying we are. I mean, isn't Massachusetts an Indian name? My daughter brother. Is that from?
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
In
So,
fact,
in fact, it says a Massachusettensis, or is that
well,
Latin?
that's just
I guess.
Latin. Yeah.
I don't think it seems to be honoring our native. I don't
think
know.
it's simply recognizing that there are Native American roots in Massachusetts. In fact, throughout Massachusetts, as well as the other settlers who came through here, and then they did achieve peace and whatever. But people are, again, I'll just say here that you can read some sources who basically say, well, this is relatively neutral. Other people will pick out only the most inflammatory aspects of the of interpretation and say this is truth. So it's kind of like a he said, she said aspect about what this really represents. So so this is the city council order was basically saying city council goes on in support of a move at the state legislature to change this. The one thing I found. So that's been going on for a few years, and so I don't think that's all that shocking. And if the city councils all want to get on board in support of that, great, knock yourself out. But one thing I thought was very weird last night was one of our city councilors, because I think one person said she was offended
It was her neighbor's daughter.
when she would see this flag.
She got upset.
Right, that she got upset.
Yeah.
So it was in fact suggested that the flag of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
Be
which
taken down.
there's an American flag, state flag, and a city insignia, and all these official meetings, that they said, can we just hide it in the green room?
They
you know,
had to ask for a solicitor's opinion on this.
I don't know what the city solicitor will come back and say about it, but I said, come on, let's just get a little serious. If you want to, it's a symbol, it's in a flag, you can ruffle it, turn the flag a certain way so somebody doesn't see it. Come on, get serious.
Yeah,
So there are points like when we had the city council pass an order some years ago, calling on the sort of the deposing Muammar Gaddafi, where it kind of makes us just look silly. So if you want to lobby the state to do this, but don't hide the flag in the green room. I mean, give me a break.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that.
No, I don't think they're going to do it.
What is the city? Do we have a seal for the city? Do we have a?
We
what
do.
Does that look like?
The seal of the city of Cambridge. Actually, there are plenty of examples of it there.
Where?
Whenever I do a posting of openings for boards further down, it actually has a symbol of Gore Hall, which is a building that doesn't even exist, that used to be on the Harvard campus. That's actually featured in the area.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. So if you look over here, the symbol for the city of Cambridge.
Okay, so it's actually is it Harvard? Is that what
it's a building that was at Harvard. It was Gore Hall.
Oh.
And I don't know why that ended up as part of the symbol. Maybe just some, the Harvard people had a lot of. Harvard was a pretty.
I mean, why don't people object
presence.
to Harvard being our city symbol?
They could.
So this
Give
wait,
them
does that
long
still
enough, they
exist?
will.
This looks like a church.
Don't worry, there's a tree in the picture, so Quentin Zondervan is going to love the
Stop
symbol.
it! Wait a minute. What are these? Which building is this?
That's
This
Gore
looks
Hall.
Like,
it's
it
actually
looks like Memorial Church.
no. Gore Hall is no longer there. It was demolished, and I believe the Widener Library is located now where Gore Hall once stood.
Because this almost has a church-like appearance. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can go crazy over symbols, or you can focus on substantive stuff.
Wow.
So, Anyway, speaking of, since that was an announcement about a board and commission, they
Oh,
actually
yeah.
reopened the call
Which
for
one?
applicants for like the various transportation related
Okay.
commissions, like bicycle committee, pedestrian committee,
Oh,
transit
yeah, I
committee.
see that, yeah.
Actually,
May
mind you,
17th, deadline, that's this week.
so it's, yeah, so they extended
Friday.
it, but it's coming up pretty soon,
Yeah.
yeah, right? But anyway, the thing I was going to mention
Hmm.
in these last minutes or so here was that John Pitkin actually got up at the council meeting during the public comment
Yeah,
last night.
I forgot
And
what he said too.
you know, and I don't know what was spurred it, but I think it was about the discussion about the complete streets or Vision Zero or whatever for, you know, whether you should be prioritizing bicycle traffic or pedestrians or whatever.
Yeah,
And he mentioned that some years ago there was something, it was called I think it was called the Transportation Advisory Committee or something of that sort. It was some years ago.
and
I have it written somewhere. I can't find it
and
now.
what was his point?
So it was formed by back in the 1970s, and it was staffed by the city, and it was actually Henrietta Davis who was working for the city at the time that actually served as staff, and it took more of a holistic view of transportation, made recommendations that actually influenced the alignment of the red line even.
Wow.
And one of the things that I think is really, really missing now is that we have balkanized
Oh, yeah,
transportation
like we have
discussion.
bicycle, pedestrian,
Yeah, so
transit, yeah, it's not,
the bicycle committee argues
Right.
why bicycle is king. The
Yeah.
pedestrians say no, pedestrian is king, and
Yeah.
then the transit says transit is king.
yeah, it should all be.
And there's
they-
no
they
committee
should
on
meet,
motor
don't
vehicle
they?
traffic,
Don't they
even though
meet?
some people have been
Yeah.
known to drive here too.
Right,
So, you know, I
Wow.
think maybe having a more comprehensive view of transportation advocacy and
Yes.
planning is overdue.
yes, that would make sense.
You know, and so if you're going to apply to all these individual committees, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But I really
But
think
get involved.
we need
Yeah.
to get the city manager involved in a conversation about doing this a little more holistically, and that
Isn't
would.
there a mobility? Wouldn't that cover? All
Yeah, maybe it will. You know,
I
we'll
don't know.
see. So.
Oh,
anyway,
the Envision report came out. We didn't mention that.
That too.
Next
so.
week we'll talk about it.
All right. So anyway, see you next week on Cambridge
Bye.
Inside Out.